My father built his company the way most men of his generation build things, slowly, stubbornly, and without a safety net or asking for help. 24 years. He started with a secondhand truck, a set of tools, and a $2,000 loan from his mother in law. By the time I was in high school, Hayes Construction employed 34 people and had built or renovated over 200 homes across the country. He was proud, the kind of quiet, solid, proud that doesn't need to say anything because the work speaks loud enough. At 52, he lost everything in less than a year because of one man he trusted. This is the story of Robert Hayes, my father. Destroyed himself, then slowly and imperfectly rebuilt something better. The man's name was Derek. So he came in as a business development partner when my father was looking to expand. A good suit, good references, smooth enough that even my mother, who distrusted most people on just general GP, she liked him. She really liked him and she was impressed. So over 18 months, Derek diverted contracts, falsified invoices, and quietly moved $340,000 out of the company's accounts into shell companies my father had no idea existed. By the time the accountant caught it, Derek was gone and so was everything my father built. The business folded. The house was mortgaged to cover the debt. My parents moved into my sister's spare bedroom. My father, who had never asked anyone for anything in his adult life, had to sit across from a bankruptcy trustee and hand over the name of the company he spent 24 years building. He didn't speak for about 3 days after that meeting. He just sat in the garden. He didn't eat much. He didn't watch TV. He was 52 years old and he felt, as he later described, like an outline of a man. Like everything that had given him shape had been removed. Like he just felt empty. So 6 weeks after the bankruptcy was filed, a woman in the next street asked my father if he'd be willing to clear and tidy her garden. It was overgrown, and she said she'd pay him 180 bucks. My mother had told me later that he almost said no, that the shame of, Robert Hayes, founder and director of a 34-person construction firm, would be clearing someone's garden for $180. It felt like more than he could stand. He felt like that would be, the seal in his failure. But anyway, he said yes because, he needed the money. So he showed up the next morning with some borrowed tools and worked for 6 hours straight. The woman told her neighbor told 3 other people, and by the end of that first month, my father actually had 8 clients in a waiting list. They all wanted him to hook up their gardens. So he called it Green Thumb to start with. He was too ashamed to put his name on it until Shane told a client who the owner was. And the client said, "Robert Hayes? I trust that man with anything." So my father cried in the van on the way home that evening. He told me that was the moment he started to come back. Like that was the moment, hearing that, once one of his clients found out who ran that company, they were like, "Oh, him? Like he is good money." That's like, it really made him feel like, wow, so everything I've accomplished, everything I've built, it's still there. I don't have a physical representation like that construction company I used to have, but the work that I've done, that I've put in, it's still represented. It's still in people's mind. They know, and they know they can trust me, and I'm reliable, and that's more than anything. Okay, so at 55, 3 years into building a new company, my father was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and early stages of hypertension. So his doctor told him bluntly that the pace he was working, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, will kill him faster than a diagnosis. So, for the first time in his life, he was forced to slow down. He had to delegate. He had to trust people with parts of the business that he always controlled himself, and he hated it. Because y'all know what happened the last time he did that. And then slowly something unexpected happened. The business grew faster when he let go. He hired a manager, a bookkeeper, and then he decided to focus on relationships and reputation rather than the physical labor of the business. He took Sundays off and started sleeping properly. He and my mother went on their first holiday in like 11 years. And by the time he was 58, Hayes Landscape and Property Maintenance had a turnover of just $1.2 million and a team of 19. Not bad for a man who started with some borrowed tools and clearing someone's overgrown garden. So, my father's 63 now. He still works, but differently. He mentors young tradespeople through a local center. He talks to them about the things he wishes someone had told him when he was their age, about trusting carefully, about the difference between pride and ego, about what to do when the worst thing you can imagine actually happens. And he says losing everything was the kindest thing that ever happened to him. I used to think that was something people said, a way of making peace with the pain. But watching him and the ease he has now, the lightness, I think he actually means it. Some people need to lose the first version of themselves to find out who they are actually meant to be. And I could not agree more. I could not agree more, I swear. So that was an excellent story. I love that. And I couldn't agree more. Like, when things happen, when we go through trials and tribulations, or we lose something, you have to trust and believe. You have to know that it's for the betterment. It's for the better of yourself. Sometimes things need to be torn away from us just so that we can be built back up to a stronger, better version, And sometimes, it's things, sometimes it's jobs, sometimes it's people, But the important thing to do is focus on the future. Focus on what you want. Focus on building. Of course, honor the loss and honor the relationship, honor the past. Let that guide your decisions in your future, moving forward. But always know, don't take a loss as a negative, take it as a lesson. Say, I'm gonna learn something from this. There's a reason. It hurts. I'm feeling it, but this is just a temporary thing. And as much as the pain is, I would say that's how much the profit will be. You know what I mean? Or the reward. Because everything has to balance out. That's how the universe works. So that was a great story. I loved it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video and check out my page. Check out some other stories. I have scary stories. I have family drama. I have all types of stories. All right. This is Tales and Tangents, and you will always find a good story here. Thank you again for watching Tales and Tangents, where every story leaves something behind. A lesson, a question, a laugh, a warning, and sometimes all four. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.